Geraldine. Geraldine is indeed a girl mouse. In the pantry of the empty house where Geraldine lived, she discovered an enormous piece of Parmesan cheese, the largest she had ever seen. But the rather complex story that follows has nothing to do with gender. Having found such a delicious treat, Geraldine shares some of it with her friends, who help drag the cheese to her hideout. Continuing to nibble after they leave, she uncovers in the cheese a giant mouse made of cheese. Holding up its tail as though it were a flute, thereafter every night Geraldine is awakened by the sounds of beautiful music coming from the cheese mouse. Believing the mouse to be magical, Geraldine would not allow her hungry friends to eat any more of the cheese, until she discovers that she herself can now reproduce the music. Unless I'm wildly off the mark, the book represents nothing less than the moment at which the muse enters an individual's soul. But why make a piece of cheese the transmitter of such nobility? After all, Frederick's gift of poetry is not sculpted from the stones on which he sits, or from the corn cob his friends share with him. His art comes from within, as do Swimmy's leadership qualities, Cornelius's physical prowess, and even Tico's dream of golden wings. I admit my puzzlement to the children. I can't figure out why the music comes from a piece of cheese, even if it is in the shape of a mouse playing a flute. Geraldine is dreaming, several children tell me. As it grew darker, the sounds became clearer and more melodious until they seemed to move lightly through the air like invisible strings of silver and gold. Never had Geraldine heard anything so beautiful. Music, she thought. This must be music. But does the music actually come from the cheese mouse, I ask? Reenie's face takes on a glow. That's like when Leo Leone came in my dream, she says. See, in Geraldine's dream, she was thinking, oh, that's so pretty, that must be music. Like Leo Leone was in my dream. You look like Frederick. You must be Leo Leone. My mind was on him. I see. Geraldine's mind was already on music. That's why it entered her dream. I feel an extraordinary sense of excitement. Boys and girls, listen to this idea I've just had. All of us are like Geraldine. All of us are like Geraldine. We all have inside of us something only we can see and hear. It comes out in our stories, our play, everything we say and do. The vehemence of my interpretation produces total silence in the classroom. In a calmer voice, I say, Leo Leone might be telling us that we each have our own piece of cheese. We must keep nibbling on it to see what's inside. Walter claps, startling the others, who then, one by one, join him in a rhythmic clapping. A piece of cheese, I told you so, I sing out in a full voice, surprising myself. The children scream with laughter to see me get up and begin marching around the room, my arms swinging. A piece of cheese, a piece of cheese, Instantly, a snake line forms behind me, winding around tables and chairs. I told you so, a piece of cheese. Oliver lifts his head from a corner table and swivels around to watch us, a tiny smile on his face. Later at lunch, Reenie asks me if boys play the flute too. Are you wondering why Leo Leone made the music mouse a girl? Yes, a boy can also become a flutist, I tell her. He just wanted to let girls have a turn to be someone. That's called a flutist? Reenie hums to herself as she arranges her lunchbox leftovers. A flutist. A flautist. She repeats softly on the way to her cupboard. A flutist. There she goes, Geraldine herself, always nibbling away, eager to find what's inside. If cheese is the symbolic substance out of which Geraldine's creativity emerges, then it may be that Miss Etty has given Reenie the sustaining story out of which to carve her unique talents, among which is certainly the ability to recognize who we are and how we are connected. Cleaning up together after school, I say to Nisha, I thought of a fancy way of describing what's happening to us this year. Narrative community. We have discovered another way of achieving narrative continuity. I said that wrong. Narrative continuity. Nisha puts down the paint jar she's washing and smiles at me. I think you once told me that play is narrative continuity. That's exactly at the point. I reply. It feels as though we are marching to that same rhythm as in play, or as you did when you heard the stories from the great epic every night. Now we are putting Leo Leone to the test. Can he provide yet another vehicle for the instinctive need to concentrate for a long time on a connected set of images and dramatic events? Let's face it, what school usually does is continually interrupt any attempt on the part of children to recapture the highly focused intensity of play. What we need to do is help them and ourselves get back on track. Nisha pours out 2 cups of tea and motions me to the table she has just scrubbed. You know what the Leo Leone curriculum reminds me of, she says? It's like Hanuman's magic tail. It can grow longer and longer until it can wrap itself around everything and everybody.